until November 30th at least. We'll explain why this is a good thing. Plus, we have our key takeaways from Friday's 1-0 loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins, the latest COVID news concerning the Islanders, and a whole lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
You're Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Monday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. So glad you could join us today to talk a little Islanders hockey. And thank you again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Interesting weekend since we were with you last. The Islanders lose their 8th straight game Friday night against the Penguins, close out their 4-game homestand, the first 4 games at the new UBS Arena with a 1-0 loss to Pittsburgh. And then shortly after that, on Saturday, it was announced that the Islanders games would be postponed through November 30th, at least as excuse me, as yet another player tested positive for COVID. We'll break it all down for you, discuss the loss against Pittsburgh, talk about what this postponement means for the Islanders, who it benefits, how it helps, why it took so long, and we also have our key takeaways from Friday's game and our Islanders birthday of the day, plus a lot more to get to on today's show. If you have something Islanders related on your mind, you have a question, a comment, or maybe something you'd like us to talk about on the show, feel free to send us an email. The email address, lockedonislanders@gmail.com. If you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. And you could also follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Isles. And you could follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter. My handle, Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings. Plus, I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. Always great to interact with fans during the game. So please share your thoughts, questions, comments, and it's always good to interact with everybody. Let's get started with Friday's 1-0 loss to Pittsburgh and the great loss for this Islanders team. Stop a number of ways, one by Sidney Crosby, really into this game. And it was all job of it can't always do it, win them all, but in the game. And when you think about it, the margin for error was so small that giving up that one goal was enough. I mean, look, as a goaltender, if you give up one goal per game in all your games, you're going to win 85, 90% of those games, maybe more. You'll at least get a point in 95, 97% of those games. Sorokin played well, and it's a lot of pressure for a goalie, knowing that your team cannot put the puck in the net effectively, and therefore is going to struggle. And to take that and still come up with a stern performance against a talented offensive team like the Pittsburgh Penguins, you got to give credit to Sorokin. On the other things about this game, and I know there's not a lot. The effort was the team never stopped trying, never stopped plugging ahead, trying to do anything it could to create chances. That being said, they didn't score at all, and the number of qualities that they came up, they came up with these quality scoring chances, but it was hard, and the power play remained an enigma. Not getting the job, team at least did. Frustration level is growing really to establish zone time, let alone quality scoring chances. The biggest concern. Matthew Barr's the top remaining team, 0 shots on goal. The top remaining offensive players on this team, 0 shots on goal. Richard Panik, who has played so well for this team, the first few games after his call-up, no shots on goal. Zach Parise, still goalless on the season, 1 shot on goal. You can, if your best players are not involved in the offense, and especially Islanders are lacking, no Brock Nelson, no Lee, so many important players daily. These are all top 6 forwards for this team, and they're not. You need guys like Mavile and Barzal. The 3 of those players combined for one had Panik, who has been so effective. Again, relatively speaking, at least creating chances. Physical game, no shots on goal for him either. Those are 4 of your top 6 forwards in this game. And between 1 shot on goal, very little mystery as to why this Island team was shut out. I get it. Mostly a roster, or at least up to a half of an AHL roster. I mean, still defensemen out of the top 6 in the lineup. And it's difficult to win hockey games when there's a talent gap, a noticeable talent gap. And yet this team did come out and played a very close hockey game, even though they fell 1-0. So disappointing loss, but not a surprise. And to me, the fact that the fact that this team didn't quit, the fact that they are still responding to the situation and trying to win, not giving up, even though they are clearly frustrated and pressing in a lot of ways. Well, I give credit to the leaders on this team and to the players on this team for their never say die attitude. When we come back, we'll discuss the postponement of at least 2 Islander games by the league, how it happened, what took so long, and what it means for the Islanders. We have that, plus our Islanders' birthday of the day, and a lot more still to come on this episode. To you by DirecTV. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sport highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbors, best friends log in for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes, no need to buy another device ever again, and the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. Once again, want to thank everybody for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. So the NHL made the formal announcement, and Lord knows it took them long, but the Islanders had 2 games so far postponed. It was the game that was supposed to take place last night, Sunday night at Madison Square Garden. That game clearly postponed. And please, the one thing that the NHL or any other sports league needs to do in order to be successful, games, you have to believe as a fan, as an observer, or even if you want to take it to the extreme and say as a gambler, you have to believe that games are on the level, that going into the game, there is a level playing field, and both teams who are playing in the game have a chance, an equal chance to win. That's not to say that the talent level is equal. That's not to say that, every team has the same number of stars and the same number of injuries. That's not ever going to be the case. But when one team is so shorthanded that they can't field an NHL caliber club, that creates an imbalance that just won't work. It won't work. So the Islanders were at the point with an eighth player entering the COVID protocols that they couldn't field a competitive team anymore. And you go to the last 8 games, and they've only scored 7 goals. They've lost 8 in a row. They've been beaten. The 1-0 loss on Friday was actually the closest game they played during this 8-game losing streak. The first 7 losses were by 3 goals or more. And that tells you this team isn't just losing, they're getting blown out. So obviously, the fact that the Islanders were unable to field a competitive team because of injuries and COVID made it in the league's best interests to postpone these games. The other thing is this. Obviously, there is a safety situation here. Even if the league follows all of their protocols, COVID has an incubation period of 10 to 14 days. On Saturday, it was Casey Cizikas became the latest player on the Islanders to enter the COVID protocol. So, there is still the possibility, A, that more Islanders players will come down with COVID, and that is something that will determine whether or not additional games involving the Islanders are postponed. And then you don't want to put the opposing players in a situation where they are exposed to people who are carrying the disease or have the disease, and then it spreads to the Rangers or the Flyers or whoever it is that the Islanders are about to play. Look, the Penguins, you don't want an outbreak of COVID to stymie additional teams and start shutting down the season. We understand how the Delta variant is more contagious than the original strain of COVID-19. And we know that this is a disease that has killed 750,000 Americans since it started here a year and a half or more ago. So it is something that the league has to be aware of. It has to put the safety of the players first, and they did finally shut it down. Probably should have shut it down 2 or 3 days earlier. Josh Bailey, by the way, no longer in the COVID protocol. He joined the team in New York Friday, did not play Friday night. Lou Lamoriello said Bales would have been a game-time decision if the game Sunday would have been played. But, okay, maybe he's out of the COVID protocols, but physically he's got to be weaker after having a case of COVID. So it's a recovery thing that takes time and effort. And, you want to be fair to the Islanders. You want to be fair to the opposition, and you want to keep everybody safe. So now a team that is Casey Cizikas, Kiefer Bellows, Zdeno Chara, Andy Green, Ross Johnston, Lee, and Adam Pelech because of COVID. You have Ryan Pulock and Brock Nelson out with injuries. That is just an absolute hot mess right now. And it's just impossible for the Islanders to field a competitive team. Now, the good news is, from the perspective of Brock Nelson and Ryan Pulock, those two guys are now going to miss 2 fewer games, mostly, depending on when the league makes up the 2 games that have already been postponed. But that will benefit the Islanders to get those 2 players back when clearly they would not have been able to play if the games were played at the regularly scheduled time. And it will also reduce the number of game players who are out with COVID will miss. So hopefully that at least gives the Islanders a fighting chance. And, the Islanders organization, by the way, did not ask for these games to be postponed. Here's what Lou Lamoriello said about that. The league over the past couple of years certainly has had the best infectious disease medical doctors available, both the union and the league, plus their own physicians. We have to trust, and we do, their decisions. What goes into these decisions, what statistics allow them to make these conclusions, I'm not privy to that. All we can do is respond to what their decisions are as we have today. So the Islanders didn't for the postponement, but they now have 3 days, no practice. The Islanders facility is shut down until November 30th. So no practice. This team is going to need to try to get back on its feet and back on get their confidence back, and hope that happens at the break. The next schedule is December. Discuss all of that get for their next game. We've got more to discuss on this episode of the Lock On Islanders podcast. We've got our Islanders birthday of the day, late 80s for that one. There's a whole lot more to come right here on the Locked On Islanders. This episode is by Built Bar. It's here, the best Monday of the year, Cyber Monday. And Built.com is the place to aim your mouse. Get at least 20% off everything delicious and healthy. That's 20% off site-wide, and even bigger discounts on Built Boost, Broth, and Built Swag. A brand new Built Bar flavor has just landed just in time for Cyber Monday, Caramel Almond Delight. I tried it today, and I got to tell you, it delivers everything it promises. Caramelized chocolate, check. Almond, check. Delightful, double check. But be sure to get yours before they're gone. This flavor has only 150 calories and 17 grams of protein. And this season, maybe you're craving white chocolate. Well, for a limited time, get a special new Built Bar Puffs flavor, white chocolate cheesecake. The yummy protein-filled treat with a marshmallowy center covered in white chocolate, just 140 calories and 17 grams of protein. 'Tis the season to save and to give your taste buds the gift of Built Bar. Get to Built.com for these incredible new great tasting bars and 20% off everything. Head to Built.com, enter the code LOCKED20 before it's too late. This episode is also brought to you by Bet Online. It's Thanksgiving, and we all know what that means. Football, and nothing goes better with football than turkey and betting. Bet Online has you covered all holiday season, more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Bet Online remains your number one spot for all the sports action this Thanksgiving and beyond. So head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with the promo code Locked On. So for being a listener to the Locked On Islanders podcast, betonline.ag will give you that 50% welcome bonus when you use the promo code Locked On. Free money to bet with on site. And it's not just football. Bet Online has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, and even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. Bet Online, we're stuffed with deals this Thanksgiving and all throughout the holiday season. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. A guy who a lot of Islander fans may know, but today is the 56th birthday of former Jari Hanpa. Hanpa, a native of Finland, drafted in the 4th round in the 1984 draft by the Islanders. Started playing in Finland, came to the Islanders organization in 85-86, where he split time between the AHL and the Islanders. Had 7 assists in just 18 games in that season. 86-87, he played 41 games for the 6 goals, 10 points, and spent 87-88 mostly with Springfield, had a cameo with the Islanders playing in one last game, then headed back to Finland, Austria, and Germany when he returned after the 1987-98 season. 60 career NHL games, all with the Islanders, 6 goals, 17 points. Add 6 playoff games with the Isles, all in 86-87, and that brief NHL career of the in Europe is better. There's February 21st, 1987, at the old NAS. Montreal Canadiens are in town, and Ryan Hayward getting the start. Habs Kelly Rudy, the goaltender for the Islanders, and in the first period, it was scoring just 47 seconds into the game. A goal by Bob Smith, his 21st, fell early, but the Islanders come back. Guy Carbonneau heads off for interference. Head lighter. Smith, Steve Conroy, Makala with the 9-16. After first period, Isles and Habs all tied at 1. In the get a shorthand. Well, Randy Shorty, his second, Brian Trottier on the assist at 6:30 Ales. Dwayne won Islanders, his 9th from Bob Bass. Scrudlin scores his. Mike McPhee, John 20 all to within 1. But just a minute and later, Gerald Diddick, his second, and Richard Crom helpers. And then a minute 17 after that, Pat LaFontaine, his 26th of the year. Gord Dineen and Alan Kerr with the assists. And Islanders lead it 5-2 after 2 periods. In the third, Aston Gingras gets his 10th from Bobby Smith and Sergio Momesso to make it a 2-goal game again. But then Ariane Pa, the Islanders' birthday of the day, his 4th from Dwayne Sutter and Bob Basson at 12-16. That made it 3 Islanders. And then Montreal gets 2 more. Smith, one on that, the second from Max Naslund and Chris Chelios. And at the end of the day, it was not enough. The Islanders win 5 over the Montreal Canadiens. 18 saves on just 20 shots to earn the win. But for our Ari Haan birthday, he had a game-winning goal, was a +2 on 2 shots on goal. We wish him very happy more, turning 56 years old today, and we wish him all the best. That is going to do it for this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with the latest health updates, any that take place with regard to the rescheduling of games, when the Islanders will resume. We will have it all for you, and we will, of course, tweet that out for you as well. And I'll tell you, it's a relief the NHL finally the right thing this time. Thanks again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets. It's your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets is hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. Keep in mind this season is far from over. And, of course, let's go Islanders.